Hello and welcome to the 6th points paying event of the NASCAR Extreme Wreckfest Series Championship, where this week we're going to find out what happens when a NASCAR series goes to a street circuit. After years of discussion of whether or not NASCAR would finally go to a street circuit, all it took was them finally giving myself the reins, running this in a completely unrealistic and virtual manner. So let's get started. So for this event we will of course be at the Motorcity Circuit. We will be running 10 races, 5 of which using the main circuit, 5 of which using the reverse circuit, and each of these will be a 1-lap dash. So we're going to start things off here with the boomer in the very first race. You're actually going to see that in this particular layout we have a chicane as the first corner, and Eric Almirola is going to be a little bit slow here, so we're going to replace the Olympics by jumping over the tire barrier just for a bit of athletic display. Both William Byron and Eric Almirola refused to let me through, so unfortunately we're going to have to punt Willie B around, show him a lesson. Coming down in the next corner, it's actually a really hard braking section, which I'm going to grossly misjudge, and then you're going to see that Chase Elliott tries to unalive me right there, but he actually eats a face full of concrete. Probably something that we should have expected given how the last race between him and Joey Logano went at Bristol. It's not every day that you can say you slammed a 7-time champion against a concrete barrier. Coming down the long final straight, you're going to see that we have a very heavy braking section here right before the hairpin. Plenty of room to make a mistake, as you're going to see I'm actually going to brake a bit too early this time, but fortunately it's actually going to work out in our favor because we don't lose any positions. Can't say that's going to be constant for the rest of the series. And we actually managed to pass Alex Bowman right here coming to the line. Moving on to the second race, we're going to give the Nexus RX another try, and I can't say I'm too happy that we had to start in the middle lane this time, but fortunately we're still going to manage to make it through the first chicane pretty cleanly. We're actually going to then go to the outside of both of the Hendrick boys of Alex Bowman and William Byron. You're going to notice a trend throughout the rest of this event that we're actually going to be fighting against a lot of the Hendrick Motorsports stable. Speaking of, for the second race in a row, coming to the same exact corner, Chase Elliott is once again going to try and assassinate us, but unfortunately we're actually going to get into our good friend Brad, and then we're immediately going to keep checking over our shoulder to make sure he's not actually dead. Keep in mind that Brad, myself, and Chase Elliott were still the top 3 in points coming into this event. With Chase Elliott right behind me, we're actually going to make a pretty big mistake going way too deep into the final corner, so he's going to get around us, and Ryan Blaney's also going to try and take us out. Unfortunately, he is going to maintain that position, and we are going to come back to finish in 6th place in the second race. Moving on to the third race, we're going to be using what I believe is the Hammerhead. It's the big boy mobile. It's got a bit more girth behind it compared to a lot of the other vehicles. And coming through the chicane, you're actually going to see that I'm pretty glad I chose this because Denny Hamlin chooses to parallel park in the middle of the street right in front of all the other cars, causing a physical blockade. I have a sneaking suspicion that he actually had a bit of a bet down that one of the top 4 cars was going to win the race, because just like that, Eric Almirola is already almost 6 seconds ahead of us, and we haven't even made it through the first 20 seconds of the race. Coming down the final stretch, once again, we're going to brake a bit too late, go a bit too deep, and we're actually going to smack into the wall this time, and unfortunately, Denny Hamlin's going to sneak his way along by us, and we're actually going to finish in 7th place. Starting off the 4th race, here in the outside lane, probably the lane that you would really not want to be in, because then you kind of have to cut across all this debris if you really want to get a lot of speed. But we're actually going to turn around Chase Elliott, so definitely not the first altercation that we've had with the Hendrick Motorsports driver so far this race. And you can see that we're actually stalking Alex Bowman, and coming down here to the 90-degree corner, we're actually going to, punt him head-on off into the wall, and we're actually going to pay for that immediately, getting caught in this little guardrail. And then Alex Bowman's going to come and return the favor. So just like that, we're down in 15th position, only 43 health, and our good friend Chase is actually right behind us once again. About halfway through the lap, we're then going to make contact with our third Hendrick Motorsports driver of the race, punching William Byron's car in the nose. Coming to the final turn, only in 13th position, just a bit up ahead, we're going to see that both Martin Truex Jr. and Kurt Busch have a bit of an altercation, so we're going to happily split those two up and move on to an 11th place finish. Moving on to the 5th race and the final race before we actually flip it all around, we're going to start off on the inside, going through the chicane, and this time you're going to see that it's once again kind of clean, kind of not, and we're going to actually spin around Alex Bowman as he becomes the next Hendrick driver to become victim to our wrath. Unfortunately, we just didn't have the pace to make up any more ground, so we're going to finish this race in 4th position. Moving on to the 6th race, we're actually going to start off, as you can see, running the reverse circuit with a left-hand 180-degree corner. So it's kind of like a left-handed version of the first corner of Spa, except a lot of the cars here are obviously not as elegant as the ones typically going around the Belgian circuit. Myself and Kurt Busch are actually getting a little bit too friendly with each other here, so I'm going to get a little bit upset with him and just send him straight on here into the concrete wall. His day's probably over. Coming down the final straight, which actually isn't very straight using this particular layout because you have the two chicanes in the way, we're going to see that Jimmy Johnson gets a little bit sideways coming out of the final chicane, and we're going to make some heavy contact with him to grab second place right at the line, edging him out by about 1/10 of a second. Starting off the next race, we're actually going to start off on the inside here, but I'm going to have the brilliant idea of trying to go to the outside, and you're going to see that it's not really the smartest idea in the world, as everybody else kind of just rams up to the outside into me. And Jimmy Johnson, probably a bit upset after how the last race ended, is actually going to grind my own car against the concrete for about 10 seconds there. And then a few seconds later, Ryan Blaney, I have no idea why he did that, he decided to end his own race for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Coming down to the hard braking corner, you're then going to see that Jimmy Johnson makes contact with me before his teammate William Byron, who's kind of just really happy to be here considering how most of his season's gone. And we're eventually just going to move him out of the way. Coming down what I guess you would consider the back straight on this particular configuration, you're going to see that myself and Jimmy Johnson, 7-time champion, are actually going to trade blows back and forth, relentlessly pursuing each other as I'm going to try and outbrake him into this corner. Unfortunately, run into the wall. He's going to get a bit of a run on us there because unfortunately we got a bit sideways. But this is actually some of the closest racing that we've really had with any of the AI in this game so far. Next race, once again with the boomer, you're going to see that coming out of the hairpin, we're actually going to be right alongside Jimmy Johnson once again, beating and banging off of each other into the wall. We really just can't seem to get away from each other this entire event, to be honest. Immediately after making contact with Chase Elliott, we're all just going to kind of dogpile out on the exit of this corner as I body slam William Byron. I get body slammed by Alex Bowman in the process. Just like that, I've already made contact with all 4 of the Hendrick Motorsports drivers without even going halfway through the track. Coming through the final chicane, we're then going to see that Joey Logano and Kyle Busch make vicious contact with the wall. Look at that, Joey Logano spinning like a top. And just like that, we're going to pick up 2 positions coming to the line. I'm pretty sure this is actually the first time that we've started in the middle lane doing this particular reverse layout. We're going to try and cut to the outside, but unfortunately we're going to cut into our best friend Brad. And then immediately after, we're going to make contact with our good friend Chase Elliott, because like I said, it's kind of unavoidable at this point. We're basically guaranteed to make contact with every Hendrick car in every single race. At the end of the straight, however, it's probably not who you would expect. We try and turn in, and unfortunately our best friend Brad's actually going to keep getting into us, spin us around. We're going to go head on into the wall, and just like that, we're in last place, and our race is effectively over because it's really hard to make up a lot of ground on this track. So moving on to the 10th and final race of this event, we are once again back with the big boy, the Hammerhead. We're actually going to go to the outside line this time, and quite shockingly, everybody sticks to the inside, so this is going to be by far our best start to any race so far in this entire event, as we move up into second place, stalking our good friend Brad for the lead. Coming to the middle section of the track, you can see that I'm really not as good at carrying speed off the corner, so we're going to cut in front of Brad Keselowski. Unfortunately, we're going to make some contact with the wall, and as a result, we're going to fall down a few positions. So coming down the final stretch for the final time, you can see that Brad Keselowski has actually gotten off to a pretty sizable lead, but myself and Kevin Harvick are making a bit of contact, so coming through the final chicane, I'm going to try and get a pretty good run on him, but unfortunately I have all this momentum and I just run into the back of him with nowhere to go, so I'm going to finish the final event in 3rd place. So moving on to the points after the completion of the 6th event of this season, you can see that I have retaken the lead from Brad Keselowski by a meager 13 points, and lo and behold, Ryan No Neck Rocket Man Newman has actually picked up his first event win of the season, meaning that we are still yet to see anybody pick up more than a single event win so far the entire season. This was actually one of the closest events of the season so far, with 5 different drivers being within 9 points of winning, and Ryan Newman just narrowly edged me out by just 3 points for first place. This was also an absolutely disastrous event for Alex Bowman, who entered the event in 4th place in points and is now leaving all the way down in 11th place after dropping down 7 positions, and after that it's really just myself, Brad, and Chase who really have any reasonable chance of actually winning the championship this season. There are still 4 events left, however, which does mean that reasonably there still could be some big changes yet to come. But that's all I have for you guys in today's video. If you did enjoy and you've made it this far, please consider leaving a like and subscribing if you haven't already. It really does help me out a lot and it lets me know that you enjoy seeing this type of content. But either way, I hope you enjoyed, have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one.